everyone, if you're new here, my name is Sally and I'm a mixed media artist in Australia, and if you're not new here, welcome back. Now, you might recall me making a very dramatic intro to a video unboxing the last Upcrate box and talking in that video about how it was time for me to pause my subscription because I wasn't feeling like the box was giving me the value, especially in this cost of living crisis. So I had thought that that was my last box, which was why I made that dramatic intro, but it turns out that I actually had one more box on the way and I miscalculated it. So here's me awkwardly saying that this, I think, is the last Upcrate box for me until I decide to renew my subscription. If I do, I'm not sure. So I say all that to say, today I will be unboxing Upcrate number 61, which is the September box. I will be opening up and reviewing the supplies and making some artwork with the prompt included. So let's go. All right, she feels full this time. So let's see what is in the final, maybe, if I've gotten it correct this time, Upcrate. Oh yeah. Okay, let's open this up. Fluid acrylic, Mars yellow. I got a straw that's been bent in transit. This box actually, it was due to arrive at my house in Victoria, in the southeast of Australia. And then I looked at the tracking and it went over to Perth, which is the exact opposite side of the country. And then it found its way back to me. So she's been on a journey. Liquid watercolor in turquoise, nice, love that color. Liquid watercolor in violet. All right, so we've got a cool color palette here. We have a pipette, again for moving things around. And our surface is Yupo paper, 300 GSM, 8 sheets from Artspace, which is Upcrate's own brand, I believe. Here is our art print. Okay, cool. So when I see this kind of thing, my mind just goes to like doing this as a background and doing illustration on top. Like that's how I would use these kind of supplies. So it's cool. It's really interesting, all the like textures, and I like when colors bleed together and that sort of organicness that you can't predict. And some cute little stickers. Inside this, it's a little pamphlet. We've got a couple more artworks from our artist, Kendra Brazel. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And like I always do with the Upcrate boxes, I will access the full digital magazine via the QR code here and tell you what's in it while I'm swatching the supplies in the voiceover. So let's go do that. Okay, so I had never heard of liquid watercolors before. I've used watercolor in paint tubes and I've used watercolor pans, but I've never used a liquid watercolor before. And I was like, how on earth is this different from ink? So I guess basically they are just like ink. You can use them just like inks, except that they are super transparent and they dry really quickly like inks, but you can reactivate them with water like watercolors. So yeah, a very interesting product to play around with. And then we've got the fluid acrylic. So an acrylic paint that is more fluid in texture. So really good for using in airbrushing the fluid acrylics, and also good with this box and these kind of techniques that we're doing with the straw and sort of pushing the medium around in this way, which was pretty fun to play around with. I don't really play with abstract art too much. I tend to sort of see it more as a background for my other work. And that's just for me personally. Like, the artist made some really amazing standalone pieces, but when I look at it, I don't see that for myself, if that makes sense. Little update. I have the Garfield, the black metal Garfield is in an air freshener now, and he's just landed in the shop. So these are live on my Etsy and in my web shop right now. So really stoked to have that, and I've been sending out a few orders already this week, which is very exciting, and I thought I would show you that. So let's get to the artwork. I had those kind of thoughts about this being like an abstract piece and then maybe doing something on top of it. So as you can see, I'm also adding in a paintbrush. We didn't get a paintbrush in the box, but it's my last Upcrate, I think, I'm pretty sure. So I'm just going to do whatever I want with it and make whatever I want. So I added a brush, and the artist in her video tutorial in the Upcrate magazine also used a brush. So it's not really cheating. And just sort of played around with the liquid watercolor, sort of having in mind about having like a border and a background and thinking about making something on top of it, but with no like clear plan. It was just vibes, and I was just thinking, you know, I'm just going to push the colors around until I'm satisfied with it. So that's what I did. And it's actually really difficult. I was looking at the artists' examples of their work, and it was just incredible. Like, it might look like it's easy to do, but it's actually not. There's a lot of skill involved, and I found it really hard to get like flat blocks of color, if that makes sense. Like, you can see I'm like pushing it around, but I wanted it to be like a background without a lot of sort of white space of the paper. So I was just sort of playing around with it, and this Yupo paper doesn't really absorb water, so adding water to the watercolor and the paint obviously like diluted it and gave it more of a transparency that I was looking for, but it meant that it took forever to dry. Like, when I did my swatching, that was the night before I'm filming this, and I had to leave it dry overnight. And I didn't think that I'd added that much water, but I'm used to using quite a lot of water with watercolor. So it was just sort of, I don't know how these would work on a watercolor paper. I probably should have experimented with that as well, but these bottles are actually quite huge. Like, a little bit goes a very, very long way. So I think I'll have these in the collection for a long time. So I might do some more experimenting with them on watercolor paper, which would dry faster, because without adding water to them, they dry really fast. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but I hope all that makes sense. And I will say, after a few boxes in a row of it not being great value, this one seems to be extremely good value. The liquid watercolors, I couldn't find them in any local stores, but I did see them on Amazon Australia for like $28 a bottle. And the fluid acrylic was around $18. So just those 3 bottles of paint worked out to be well over what the box sort of works out to be in Australia, converting to Australian dollars, and with the postage. The box is usually about $45 to $48, I worked it out to be. Fluctuates a little bit with the price of the dollar. But yeah, so it is a good value box, even though there's not a lot in it. The supplies you get are quite large. I wasn't really stoked with this. It was just getting really muddy, and I wanted it to be not like this. I kind of just wanted to fill in like a background, and that wasn't happening. So I got some paper towel to try and get some of the water off. But then, because the water just doesn't, it takes forever to dry on this paper. Like, it just pulls up and just stays there, which is fine if you're trying to like push it around. But I'm like, I want it to dry because I actually want to do something on top of this, you know? And in the video tutorial that the artist did, she used the pipette to like soak up some of the excess water, but that just wasn't working for me. Like, I tried that and it didn't work. So I was trying to use paper towel to pick up some, and then that just made it kind of look worse. So I just kind of kept blowing it around. So I wasn't really stoked with that first one. So I thought, let's do a second one and not use the turquoise. So I thought maybe having less colors will have it be less muddy and have this warm tone kind of like peachy thing. And I thought maybe using the paint, the acrylic paint, would make it dry faster because it wasn't just all watercolor, the liquid watercolor. I don't know. I thought I would test this out as well. So I had two, and I didn't use as much water as I had the night before. So I thought I've got to finish a painting while I'm waiting for it to dry. And then my black paint exploded everywhere because the lids on these paint tubes are awful. I'll never buy this paint again. I was just covered in black paint. So then I went to my favorite art supply store because I needed the black for the Zorn palette to finish the portraits. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll get a new brush. So I got my new black paint. Winsor & Newton Luminous Red is my favorite paint color, and I found a pencil in exactly the same color from the same brand. So I got that, and I got a smaller version of my favorite brush. So with that done, I came back, and then my pieces were dry. So on to the next part. So I've been playing around with blackout poetry. And blackout poetry is a poem that you make by blacking out unwanted words from a book. So I just grabbed my acrylic paint marker, and it's really cool, and it's been good to work on in amongst all the paintings that I'm doing because it's another way to be creative, but more with words and in a different way, and it sort of get my brain thinking a little bit differently to just like painting, 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 and more painting. So yeah, I grabbed this James Franco book because he's problematic. And the book isn't great. Like, he uses the same words over and over and over again. It's really annoying. So I was like, I'm going to repurpose this into some art. So that's what I've been doing. I've been making blackout poetry from this book. And I actually finished the horror heroines portraits yesterday. I finished the last two. So that means the October zine is all ready to print. And I'm so excited. It looks amazing. I think this is my favorite zine that I've made. And I'll take this moment as an opportunity to thank my Ko-fi members. They're the ones who get the zines first. And then I do an update in the shops a couple months after that for everybody else. The members also get a bonus mini zine that's not sold elsewhere. And I've also got another tier with an art print that also relates to the zines that I've made. So all I've got to do now is just make the mini and the artwork for the art print, and then the zine is ready to go into the mail. And next week's video is going to be me painting the painting for the art print. So make sure you come back to watch that. And all the information about the memberships is in the description box down below. If you want to support me in the channel, that's a really great way to do so. And you also get tons of cool stuff in the mail every single month, no matter where in the world you live. It ships worldwide, and the price of the postage is included in the membership. So for that first piece there, I decided to just grab my black acrylic paint marker and do some sort of freehand contour drawing, and because the background was quite light compared to the other one on the left. And here are my artworks. So this first one says, a woman had been supposed to drive right back home, but instead got drunk. A mathematics professor came home. And then the second one says, well, funny how you doubt everyone normal, but everyone is only trying to punch. I don't know. I don't like that one as much. I'm making some other ones that are better, but I'm actually going to put them into a zine. I want to thank you so much for watching and all your continued support. I hope you enjoyed this video and the artwork that I created. Leave a thumbs up if you liked this video and consider subscribing to the channel. I still have the Scroller Box art subscription box coming to me, and I do more art stuff. So I would love to have you here for those videos as well. Leave a comment for engagement to boost the algorithm, and I'll see you next time. Bye.